Have you ever wondered why two people can start from the same place, with the same education, the same opportunities, and even the same intelligence, yet end up living completely different lives? Why does one person spend decades struggling financially, while another builds wealth, influence, and freedom? Is it simply luck? Is it connections? Is it privilege? Or is there something deeper? Something invisible? Something that cannot be touched, but shapes every decision, every action, and ultimately every result. The truth is that before wealth appears in your bank account, it must first exist in your mind. Money is often a reflection of thought patterns. Wealth is rarely built accidentally. The richest people in the world think differently, perceive opportunities differently, and respond to challenges differently. And while not everyone begins life with the same advantages, every person has the ability to transform the way they think. Because changing your financial future starts with changing your mental operating system. Welcome to the Affluence Arena, the place where ordinary minds are trained for extraordinary prosperity. Today, we are exploring 25 mental shifts that separate the wealthy from everyone else. These are not magical secrets. They are not overnight success formulas. They are principles. Timeless ideas. Mental frameworks that have shaped entrepreneurs, investors, leaders, and creators across generations. If you master these shifts, your relationship with money, work, and success may never remain the same. So sit back. Open your mind. And let's begin.
Mental shift number 1. The rich buy time. The poor sell time. One of the biggest differences between wealthy people and average people is how they think about time. Most people grow up believing that money comes from hours worked. Go to school. Get a job. Work hard. Exchange your time for a paycheck. Repeat this process for 40 years. And hopefully retire. But wealthy people understand something fundamentally different. Time is the most valuable asset in existence. Money can be lost and regained. Businesses can fail and be rebuilt. Investments can collapse and recover. But time can never be replaced. Every second that passes is gone forever. That is why wealthy individuals focus on acquiring assets that continue producing income even when they are not actively working. They build systems. They create businesses. They invest in stocks. They buy real estate. They write books. They build brands. They develop intellectual property. They leverage technology. Because they understand one powerful truth. If income stops the moment you stop working, you do not own freedom. You own a job. And there is nothing wrong with employment. Employment can be an incredible stepping stone. But it should never become a prison. The goal is not merely earning money. The goal is earning freedom. Imagine two people. The first person works 10 hours every day. The second person spends years building a system that eventually generates income without requiring constant involvement. At first, the first person earns more. But after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, the difference becomes enormous. One person remains trapped by time. The other becomes liberated by systems. The wealthy are obsessed with leverage. They ask questions like, how can I make this process work without me? How can technology multiply my efforts? How can other people's skills accelerate my goals? How can investments generate returns while I sleep? Because leverage transforms human limitations into extraordinary possibilities. And in today's digital world, leverage has become more accessible than ever before. A single YouTube video can reach millions. An online course can teach thousands. A software application can serve customers across continents. A digital business can operate 24 hours a day. The opportunity exists. But it requires a different mindset. Instead of asking, how can I work more? Ask, how can I build something that works for me? The rich buy time. The poor sell time. And the sooner you understand this principle, the sooner your financial journey begins to change. Mental shift number 2. The rich think in decades. The poor think in days. Human beings naturally desire immediate gratification. We want results now. We want success quickly. We want wealth instantly. Modern society encourages this mentality. Everything is designed for speed. Fast food. Instant streaming. One-click purchases. Same-day delivery. We live in a world that rewards impatience. But wealth operates according to different laws. Real wealth is built slowly. Quietly. Patiently. The bamboo tree is a perfect example. For years after planting, there appears to be little or no growth. Nothing remarkable happens. No dramatic progress is visible. But beneath the surface, roots are spreading. Foundations are strengthening. And eventually, in a very short period, the tree shoots upward with incredible speed. Most people quit during the invisible phase. The wealthy understand that invisible growth is still growth. They plant seeds today, knowing that the harvest may arrive years later. When they invest, they think about decades. When they build businesses, they think about generations. When they develop skills, they think about lifetime value. Because compounding rewards patience. Consider investing. Someone who invests consistently for 30 years often accumulates far more wealth than someone attempting to become rich quickly through speculation. The same principle applies to knowledge. Reading one book changes little. Reading 500 books transforms your mind. One workout means almost nothing. 10 years of exercise transforms your body. One business effort may fail. 20 years of entrepreneurial learning can create extraordinary success. Everything compounds. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Reputation compounds. Discipline compounds. Money compounds. The problem is that human beings frequently underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. We want dramatic breakthroughs. But life is often won through quiet consistency. The wealthy are comfortable delaying gratification. They understand that sacrificing short-term pleasure can create long-term abundance. They are willing to invest money instead of spending it. They are willing to learn when others are entertaining themselves. They are willing to build while others seek instant rewards. Because they know something powerful. The future belongs to those who can wait. The person who plants a tree today enjoys shade tomorrow. The person who consumes everything today inherits nothing tomorrow. Ask yourself this question. Are your current actions designed to impress people today? Or are they designed to transform your life 10 years from now? Because your answer may determine your future. The rich think in decades. The poor think in days. And patience remains one of the greatest financial advantages anyone can possess. If you are enjoying this journey into the psychology of wealth, take a moment to subscribe to the Affluence Arena. Our mission is simple. To help ordinary individuals build extraordinary lives through timeless principles of wealth, business, and personal growth.
And if one idea from today's video has already challenged your perspective, leave a comment below and tell us which mental shift resonates with you the most. Your insights may inspire someone else on their journey toward financial freedom. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 3. The rich invest in knowledge before profits. Most people spend money based on emotions. The wealthy spend money based on returns. And one of the highest return investments in existence is knowledge. Knowledge changes everything. It changes how you see opportunities. It changes how you solve problems. It changes how you make decisions. It changes how you manage risks. And ultimately, it changes how much value you create. The marketplace rewards value. The more valuable your skills become, the more opportunities naturally emerge. That is why wealthy people are often relentless learners. They read constantly. They attend seminars. They hire mentors. They invest in coaching. They seek wisdom from people who have already achieved what they desire. Because they understand a simple truth. Ignorance is expensive. Very expensive. Poor financial decisions often stem from insufficient knowledge. Bad investments. Unnecessary debts. Missed opportunities. All of these carry enormous costs. Yet many people hesitate to spend money on education while freely spending on entertainment and temporary pleasures. The wealthy reverse this equation. They view learning as an investment rather than an expense. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur. He starts a business and struggles. Instead of giving up, he purchases books. He attends workshops. He learns marketing. He studies psychology. He develops leadership skills. Years later, his business flourishes. Was the success accidental? No. It was the natural consequence of accumulated knowledge. The mind is the ultimate wealth-generating asset. And unlike physical possessions, knowledge cannot easily be taken away.
Economic conditions change. Industries evolve. Technologies advance. But a well-trained mind remains adaptable. It finds solutions. It creates opportunities. It navigates uncertainty. One of the greatest investments you can make is in yourself. Your skills. Your thinking. Your character. Your understanding of human nature. Your ability to communicate. Your capacity to lead. Because the person you become determines the results you achieve. As the famous saying goes, if someone took away all the money from wealthy individuals and distributed it equally among everyone, much of that wealth would eventually find its way back into their hands. Why? Because wealth creation begins internally. It starts with knowledge. It starts with perspective. It starts with mental frameworks. The rich understand that money follows value. And value follows learning. So read more. Study more. Ask more questions. Invest in your growth. Because the greatest asset you will ever own is the 6 inches between your ears. And the better that asset becomes, the more powerful your future becomes. We have only begun our journey. So far, we have discovered 3 powerful mental shifts. The rich buy time instead of selling it. The rich think in decades instead of days. And the rich invest in knowledge before pursuing profits. But the next shifts may challenge your assumptions even further. Because true wealth is not merely about money. It is about identity. It is about discipline. It is about mastering emotions in a world driven by impulses. We will explore mental shifts 4, 5, and 6. How wealthy people view failure. Why emotions destroy financial success. And why successful individuals become creators rather than consumers. This is the Affluence Arena. Where prosperity begins in the mind. And where your journey toward financial freedom continues. This is the Affluence Arena. And we are talking about the psychology of wealth. 25 mental shifts that separate the rich from everyone else. Mental shift number 4. The rich see failure as tuition, not tragedy. Most people fear failure. Not because failure is painful. But because failure threatens their identity. Society conditions us from childhood to avoid mistakes. In school, mistakes reduce your grades. At work, mistakes can cost promotions. In public, mistakes can invite criticism and embarrassment. So people become obsessed with looking perfect. They become afraid to take risks. Afraid to try new things. Afraid to pursue ambitious dreams. And without realizing it, they slowly build a prison around their potential. But wealthy individuals see failure differently. To them, failure is not a verdict. It is feedback. It is education. It is tuition paid to the university of real life. Every successful entrepreneur carries scars. Every investor has lost money. Every business leader has made terrible decisions. Every creator has produced work that failed. The difference is that they did not allow failure to become their identity. They allowed it to become their teacher. Think about a child learning to walk. The child falls repeatedly. Again and again. Yet nobody looks at the child and says, perhaps walking is not meant for you. Nobody declares the child a failure. Because everyone understands that falling is part of learning. Somehow, adults forget this wisdom. We expect ourselves to succeed immediately. And when reality disagrees, we give up. But mastery requires mistakes. Growth requires discomfort. Progress demands experimentation. The wealthy understand this principle deeply. When a business fails, they ask, "What did this experience teach me?" When an investment goes wrong, they ask, "What knowledge have I gained?" When opportunities disappear, they ask, "What new path has opened?" Because every setback contains information. Every disappointment contains lessons. And every obstacle contains hidden opportunities. The fear of failure is often more destructive than failure itself. Fear keeps people trapped in jobs they hate. Fear prevents people from starting businesses. Fear stops people from investing in themselves. Fear convinces them that safety is more important than growth. But there is a painful truth that many never accept. The greatest risk in life is refusing to take risks at all. Because the world changes. Industries evolve. Technology disrupts old systems. And those who refuse to adapt often suffer the consequences. Failure is temporary. Regret can last a lifetime. The people who build extraordinary lives are not fearless. They simply refuse to allow fear to make their decisions. They understand that every successful person once stood exactly where they are now. Confused. Uncertain. Inexperienced. And afraid. But they moved forward anyway. They embraced imperfection. They learned through action. And eventually, what once seemed impossible became ordinary. Remember this. Every mistake you make in pursuit of growth is tuition. And tuition is not wasted money. It is an investment in wisdom. The rich see failure as education. The poor see failure as the end. And that difference changes everything. Mental shift number 5. The rich master their emotions. The poor obey them. Human beings are emotional creatures. We experience joy, fear, anger, excitement, disappointment, hope, and frustration. Emotions are natural. They make life meaningful. But when emotions become the primary drivers of financial decisions, disaster often follows. One of the greatest skills wealthy individuals develop is emotional discipline. They do not eliminate emotions. They simply refuse to become slaves to them. Consider investing. When markets rise dramatically, many people become greedy. They buy at high prices because everyone else appears to be making money. Then, when markets fall, fear takes over. They panic. They sell at losses. And they repeat this cycle again and again. Emotion becomes their financial advisor. And emotion is rarely rational. The wealthy understand that temporary feelings should not dictate permanent decisions. They build systems. They create plans. They establish principles. And they follow those principles even when emotions urge them to do otherwise. This lesson extends far beyond money. It applies to business, relationships, health, and personal development. Imagine only exercising when you feel motivated. Imagine only working when inspiration arrives. Imagine only saving money when it feels convenient. Consistency would become impossible. Success requires discipline. And discipline means doing what needs to be done regardless of temporary emotions. There will be days when motivation disappears. Days when doubt becomes overwhelming. Days when quitting seems attractive. The wealthy understand that emotions are weather. They change constantly. But principles remain stable. A storm does not last forever. And neither does fear. One powerful habit among successful people is delayed reaction. Instead of responding immediately, they pause. They reflect. They gather information. They think. Because they know that impulsive decisions often create long-term problems. In business, patience prevents costly mistakes. In investing, patience protects wealth. In relationships, patience preserves trust. The ability to remain calm while others panic is an extraordinary advantage. Warren Buffett once said that the stock market transfers money from the impatient to the patient. That principle applies to life itself. Opportunities often belong to those who maintain emotional control while others lose theirs. This does not mean suppressing emotions. It means understanding them, observing them, and refusing to surrender your judgment to them. Your feelings matter. But they should inform your decisions, not control them. The rich master their emotions. The poor obey them. And emotional mastery is one of the greatest forms of wealth anyone can possess. If these lessons are adding value to your life, make sure you subscribe to the Affluence Arena. Our goal is not simply to help you earn more money. Our goal is to help you become the kind of person who naturally attracts prosperity, creates value, and builds lasting freedom. And if this video is helping you, share it with someone who needs to hear these truths. Sometimes a single conversation can change the direction of an entire life. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 6. The rich create more than they consume. Modern society encourages consumption. Buy more. Watch more. Scroll more. Upgrade more. Consume endlessly. Every advertisement tells us that happiness exists in the next purchase. The next gadget. The next luxury item. The next experience. And while consumption itself is not inherently wrong, problems arise when people consume far more than they create. The wealthy understand a fundamental principle. Creators become owners. Consumers become customers. The person who builds a business creates value. The person who writes a book creates value. The person who develops skills creates value. The person who solves problems creates value. And value creation is the foundation of wealth. Money flows toward people who make other people's lives better. That is how markets work. That is how businesses grow. That is how prosperity is generated. The world rewards creators. Yet many people spend countless hours consuming content while producing nothing. They watch others build dreams. They admire others achieving goals. They observe others creating opportunities. But observation alone changes nothing. There comes a point when inspiration must become action. When learning must become building. When consuming must become creating. Ask yourself an important question. What am I producing? What value am I bringing into the world? What problems am I solving? Because your answers reveal your economic future. You do not need to create something revolutionary. You simply need to create something useful. Perhaps it is a small business. Perhaps it is educational content. Perhaps it is a service. Perhaps it is a product. Perhaps it is a skill that helps others. The size matters less than the principle. Creation generates opportunity. Consumption alone rarely does. This mindset also changes personal finances. The wealthy often invest money into assets before spending on liabilities. They prioritize things that grow in value rather than things that immediately lose value. They ask, will this purchase improve my future? Will it increase my earning potential? Will it create opportunities? Will it help me build something meaningful? These questions guide their decisions. And over time, those decisions compound into extraordinary outcomes. The digital age has created unprecedented opportunities for creators. Never before has it been easier to build an audience. To sell knowledge. To create products. To start businesses. To share ideas with millions of people. The barriers that once existed have dramatically fallen. But success still belongs to those who take action. Those who create rather than merely consume. Those who build rather than simply admire. The rich understand that ownership changes everything. Ownership creates leverage. Ownership creates freedom. Ownership creates legacy. And ownership begins with creation. Create something. Anything. Because every great empire once began as a simple idea in someone's mind. The rich create more than they consume. And that single habit transforms their relationship with the world. We have now uncovered 6 powerful mental shifts that influence wealth and success. The rich buy time. They think in decades. They invest in knowledge. They see failure as tuition. They master their emotions. And they create more than they consume. But our journey is only beginning. Why wealthy people focus on value rather than money. Why they carefully choose their environments. And why they understand that identity determines destiny. This is the Affluence Arena. Where financial freedom begins with mental transformation. and where ordinary people learn the principles that build extraordinary lives. Mental shift number 7. The rich chase value. The poor chase money. Most people spend their lives chasing money. They ask, how can I make more money? How can I get rich quickly? How can I earn a bigger salary? But wealthy people ask a completely different question. They ask, how can I become more valuable? Because they understand a universal law. Money follows value. The marketplace rewards people who solve problems. The bigger the problem you solve, the greater the rewards you can potentially receive. Think about the people who have built enormous fortunes. They did not become wealthy because they desperately chased money. They became wealthy because they created extraordinary value. They built systems that improved lives. They created products that solved problems. They delivered services people genuinely needed. Money was the consequence, not the mission. This is a powerful shift in perspective. If your only goal is money, you may become impatient. You may seek shortcuts. You may compromise principles. You may focus on immediate gains instead of lasting impact. But if your goal is value creation, wealth becomes more sustainable. Because people willingly exchange money for solutions. A skilled doctor creates value. An exceptional teacher creates value. A talented entrepreneur creates value. A software developer creates value. A content creator who transforms lives creates value. The question is not simply, how much money do I want? The better question is, how valuable can I become? Because income often reflects the value you provide to society. This does not mean every wealthy person is morally perfect. Nor does it mean every valuable person becomes rich. Life is more complex than that. But over long periods, value creation remains one of the most reliable paths toward prosperity. Imagine two individuals. One constantly asks for opportunities. The other creates opportunities for others. One seeks benefits. The other provides benefits. One consumes resources. The other generates resources. Which person do you think the world rewards more generously? The answer is obvious. The wealthy understand this principle. They focus relentlessly on solving problems. Because problems are opportunities wearing work clothes. Every inconvenience in society represents a potential business. Every frustration represents a possible innovation. Every unmet need represents a market waiting to be served. Train yourself to see problems differently. Instead of complaining, ask, how can this be improved? How can this process become easier? How can people benefit from a better solution? These questions transform ordinary minds into entrepreneurial minds. And entrepreneurial thinking creates abundance. The rich chase value. Money simply follows behind. Mental shift number 8. The rich choose their environment carefully. There is an ancient truth that has survived thousands of years. You become what surrounds you. Human beings are profoundly influenced by their environment. The people we spend time with. The conversations we have. The ideas we consume. The expectations that exist around us. All of these forces shape our identity. Many people underestimate the power of association. They believe individual determination is enough. But even the strongest minds are influenced by their surroundings. If everyone around you complains constantly, negativity becomes normal. If everyone around you avoids responsibility, mediocrity becomes acceptable. If everyone around you fears ambition, success begins to feel dangerous. The wealthy understand this reality. They intentionally place themselves in environments that encourage growth. They seek mentors. They join communities of ambitious individuals. They build relationships with people who challenge their thinking. Because environment influences standards. And standards influence results. Consider professional athletes. They train with elite competitors. They surround themselves with coaches. They operate within cultures that demand excellence. That environment accelerates growth. The same principle applies to wealth. If you want to become financially successful, you must immerse yourself in ideas, people, and experiences that support that vision. This does not mean abandoning old friends. Nor does it mean looking down on others. True success requires humility and compassion. But it does mean being intentional about what influences your mind. Ask yourself, what conversations dominate my daily life? What content do I consume? What beliefs are constantly reinforced around me? Because repeated exposure creates normalization. Whatever becomes normal eventually shapes behavior. One of the greatest advantages of the modern world is access. You may not personally know successful entrepreneurs, but you can read their books, listen to their interviews, study their principles, join communities filled with growth-oriented individuals. Technology has removed many barriers that once limited opportunity. You can build a powerful environment even if your physical surroundings remain challenging. Books become mentors. Podcasts become classrooms. Educational videos become teachers. The information exists. The choice belongs to you. Protect your environment. Guard your mind. Choose your influences carefully. Because your future is being shaped every single day by the things you repeatedly expose yourself to. The rich understand that environment is not accidental. It is intentional. And intentional environments produce intentional lives. If these lessons are helping you think differently about success, make sure you subscribe to the Affluence Arena. Our mission is to provide timeless principles that empower ordinary people to create extraordinary futures. And remember, knowledge without action changes nothing. Take one lesson from today's video and apply it to your life this week. Small actions, repeated consistently, create remarkable transformations. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 9. The rich build an identity before they build wealth. Many people focus entirely on external goals. $1 million. A luxury home. A successful business. Financial freedom. These goals are important. But wealthy individuals understand something deeper. Results follow identity. Who you become determines what you achieve. The greatest transformation is not external. It is internal. Imagine someone who wins a large amount of money through luck. If their habits remain unchanged, if their mindset remains unchanged, if their identity remains unchanged, that wealth often disappears. History is filled with examples of lottery winners returning to financial hardship. Why? Because external success exceeded internal development. The person was not prepared to sustain the outcome. The wealthy focus on becoming the kind of person capable of handling greater responsibility. They ask, what habits must I develop? What character traits must I strengthen? What disciplines must I embrace? Because wealth amplifies identity. If you are responsible, wealth increases your ability to create good. If you are careless, wealth magnifies poor decisions. The foundation matters. Identity matters. Consider fitness. A person who says, I am trying to exercise, behaves differently from someone who says, I am an athlete. The second statement represents identity. And identity influences behavior. The same principle applies to money. Instead of saying, I want to become wealthy, perhaps a better approach is, I am becoming a disciplined builder of value. I am becoming financially responsible. I am becoming a lifelong learner. I am becoming someone who creates opportunities. These identities create behaviors. And behaviors create outcomes. The wealthy understand that lasting success is rarely achieved through temporary motivation. It is sustained through identity. Motivation comes and goes. Identity remains. This is why habits matter so much. Daily routines reinforce self-perception. Every small action sends a message to your mind about who you are becoming. Saving money reinforces responsibility. Reading books reinforces growth. Building skills reinforces competence. Keeping promises reinforces integrity. Over time, these small behaviors construct powerful identities. And powerful identities generate powerful lives. The question is not merely, what do you want to achieve? The deeper question is, who must you become to achieve it? Because destiny often follows identity. The rich build the person before they build the fortune. And once the foundation is strong, success becomes far more sustainable. We have now explored 9 powerful mental shifts that separate wealth builders from everyone else. The rich buy time. They think in decades. They invest in knowledge. They see failure as tuition. They master emotions. They create more than they consume. They chase value rather than money. They intentionally shape their environment. And they build identity before building wealth. But the next lessons may challenge conventional thinking even more. Next we'll be discussing mental shift number 10. Why wealthy people embrace responsibility instead of avoiding it. Mental shift number 11. Why they focus on opportunities during difficult times. And mental shift number 12. Why they understand that discipline is more powerful than motivation. This is the Affluence Arena, where minds are transformed, principles are mastered. Mental shift number 10. The rich embrace responsibility. The poor escape it. One of the most uncomfortable truths about success is this. The greater the responsibility you carry, the greater the rewards you can potentially receive. Most people want the rewards. Very few want the responsibilities attached to them. People want financial freedom. But they do not want the discipline that creates it. People want successful businesses. But they do not want the sleepless nights, difficult decisions, and sacrifices that entrepreneurship demands. People want leadership positions. But they do not want the pressure of leading others. The wealthy understand something that changes everything. Responsibility is not a burden. It is an opportunity. Every level of growth requires accepting greater responsibility. A business owner is responsible for employees. An investor is responsible for managing risk. A parent is responsible for a family. A leader is responsible for a vision bigger than themselves. And because responsibility creates value for others, society often rewards those who carry it effectively. Unfortunately, many people spend their lives avoiding responsibility. They blame governments. They blame their upbringing. They blame circumstances. They blame luck. They blame other people. And while external factors certainly influence our lives, blaming rarely changes outcomes. Responsibility, on the other hand, creates power. Because the moment you accept responsibility, you regain control. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And start asking, "What can I do about it?" That question changes everything. It transforms victims into builders. It transforms complaints into solutions. It transforms frustration into action. This does not mean blaming yourself for everything. Life is unfair at times. Bad things happen. Unexpected challenges arise. But even in difficult circumstances, responsibility asks, what is still within my control? Can I learn a new skill? Can I improve my habits? Can I change my environment? Can I make better decisions moving forward? The wealthy focus on influence, not excuses. They understand that responsibility expands freedom. The more capable you become, the more choices you create. And freedom is built upon competence. Think about it. Why do people trust certain individuals with large businesses, major investments, or leadership roles? Because those individuals have demonstrated responsibility. Trust is earned through consistent stewardship. Money follows trust. Opportunities follow trust. Leadership follows trust. And trust follows responsibility. The rich embrace responsibility because they know it is the price of influence. And influence is one of the greatest forms of wealth. Mental shift number 11. The rich look for opportunities during crisis. When difficult times arrive, most people focus exclusively on problems. And that reaction is understandable. Challenges create uncertainty. Uncertainty creates fear. And fear narrows human vision. But wealthy individuals train themselves to see beyond immediate difficulties. They ask, what opportunities exist within this situation? History repeatedly demonstrates this principle. Many successful companies were built during economic downturns. Many fortunes emerged during periods of uncertainty. Many innovations appeared when traditional systems failed. Why? Because crises force change. And change creates opportunities. When old methods stop working, new solutions become valuable. The wealthy understand that every problem creates demand. And demand creates possibility. This does not mean celebrating suffering. Nor does it mean pretending that difficult times are easy. It simply means recognizing that adversity often contains hidden potential. Consider the farmer. When storms arrive, he does not waste energy complaining about the weather. He adapts. He prepares. He works with reality instead of fighting against it. That mindset creates resilience. That mindset creates resilience. And resilience creates opportunity. The same principle applies to life. Economic changes happen. Technology evolves. Industries disappear. New industries emerge. Those who resist change often struggle. Those who adapt frequently prosper. The wealthy develop flexible minds. They understand that permanence is an illusion. The world constantly transforms. And successful people learn how to transform alongside it. During challenging times, average thinkers ask, how bad can this become? Extraordinary thinkers ask, what can I build during this season? What skills can I develop? What needs are emerging? What opportunities are others failing to notice? Because opportunity often hides behind inconvenience. The gold miner understands that valuable things are rarely found on the surface. They require digging, patience, and vision. Likewise, opportunities during difficult periods require perspective. They require emotional control. They require optimism grounded in action. This is not blind positivity. It is strategic thinking. It is the ability to remain solution-oriented when others become problem-oriented. The wealthy know that every economic cycle eventually changes. Booms become recessions. Recessions become recoveries. And those who prepare wisely during difficult seasons often emerge stronger than before. The rich do not deny problems. They simply refuse to stop looking for possibilities. And that difference shapes their future. If this message is inspiring you, remember to subscribe to the Affluence Arena. Our mission is to help you develop the mindset, principles, and habits that create lasting prosperity. And if you have learned something valuable today, share this video with someone who is working to build a better future. Because knowledge becomes more powerful when it is shared. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 12. The rich rely on discipline. The poor wait for motivation. Motivation feels wonderful. It gives energy. It creates excitement. It inspires action. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you feel exhausted. If your success depends entirely on motivation, your progress will always remain inconsistent. The wealthy understand this reality. That is why they build systems based on discipline. Discipline means doing what must be done regardless of how you feel. It means honoring commitments even when enthusiasm disappears. It means choosing long-term rewards over short-term comfort. Consider physical fitness. Nobody stays motivated every single day. Yet athletes continue training. Not because motivation always exists, but because discipline carries them forward. The same principle applies to business, to investing, to learning, to personal growth. Discipline transforms extraordinary actions into ordinary habits. And habits create results automatically. One of the greatest misconceptions about successful people is that they possess unlimited willpower. The truth is often much simpler. They build routines. They reduce unnecessary decisions. They create environments that support productive behaviors. They rely on systems rather than emotions. James Clear, author of the book Atomic Habits, emphasizes that we do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. That insight is profound. Goals provide direction. Systems create progress. Motivation starts the journey. Discipline finishes it. Imagine waiting until you feel inspired to save money. Or waiting until you feel excited about studying. Or waiting until you feel enthusiastic about building your business. Years could pass without meaningful action. Discipline removes emotional negotiations. It transforms important behaviors into non-negotiable standards. This is what separates professionals from amateurs. Amateurs work when conditions feel perfect. Professionals work because excellence demands consistency. The wealthy understand that small disciplines compound over time. Saving a little money regularly creates investments. Reading consistently creates knowledge. Exercising regularly creates health. Building regularly creates businesses. The magic lies in repetition. Not intensity. Not perfection. Not dramatic moments. But ordinary actions performed consistently over many years. Discipline is freedom disguised as sacrifice. At first, discipline feels restrictive. But eventually, it creates choices. Financial discipline creates financial freedom. Health discipline creates physical freedom. Learning discipline creates intellectual freedom. Every meaningful freedom in life is purchased through disciplined behavior. The rich understand this principle deeply. They do not wait for motivation. They create systems that produce results regardless of emotions. And those systems become the engines of extraordinary lives. We have now completed 12 of the 25 mental shifts that shape wealth and success. So far, we have learned that the rich buy time. Think in decades. Invest in knowledge. View failure as tuition. Master emotions. Create more than they consume. Chase value. Choose their environments carefully. Build identity before wealth. Embrace responsibility. Look for opportunities during crises. And rely on discipline rather than motivation. But the next lessons may be the most transformative yet. Next week we'll explore mental shift number 13. Why wealthy people focus on ownership rather than income. Mental shift number 14. Why they understand the power of delayed gratification. And mental shift number 15. Why they treat networking as an investment rather than a social activity. This is the Affluence Arena, where timeless principles create modern prosperity. And where the journey toward extraordinary success continues. Mental shift number 13. The rich pursue ownership. The poor pursue only income. There is a profound difference between earning money and owning assets. Most people are taught to focus entirely on income. Get a better job. Negotiate a higher salary. Work more hours. Find another source of active income. And while increasing income is important, wealthy individuals understand that income alone rarely creates lasting freedom. Ownership does. Ownership changes the entire equation. When you own a business, you participate in the growth of that business. When you own stocks, you benefit from the growth of companies. When you own real estate, you participate in the appreciation of property. When you own intellectual property, your ideas continue working long after the original effort has been completed. Ownership allows wealth to compound. Income alone often does not. Imagine two people. The first person earns a high salary but spends nearly everything they make. The second person earns less initially but consistently acquires assets. 10 years later, their lives may look dramatically different. One depends entirely on active labor. The other benefits from accumulated ownership. The wealthy ask an important question. What can I own? Can I own a business? Can I own investments? Can I own systems? Can I own ideas? Can I own assets that appreciate over time? Because ownership creates leverage. And leverage creates freedom. This principle applies even in small ways. Perhaps you cannot buy large investments today. That is perfectly fine. The journey begins with understanding. It begins with developing the habit of acquiring assets instead of merely consuming income. Every small investment represents a vote for your future. Every asset becomes another worker contributing to your financial independence. The rich understand that true wealth is not measured by how much money flows through your hands. It is measured by how many productive assets work on your behalf. Ownership creates legacy. Ownership creates options. Ownership creates resilience. And ultimately, ownership creates freedom. Mental shift number 14. The rich master delayed gratification. One of the most powerful predictors of long-term success is the ability to delay gratification. The ability to sacrifice something small today for something greater tomorrow. Modern culture often encourages the opposite. Buy now. Pay later. Indulge immediately. Seek comfort instantly. The message is everywhere. And yet, some of the most extraordinary achievements in human history were built upon delayed gratification. Farmers plant seeds months before harvest. Athletes train for years before championships. Entrepreneurs work tirelessly before success becomes visible. Investors wait decades for compounding to work its magic. The wealthy understand that life rewards patience. They willingly postpone temporary pleasures to build permanent advantages. This does not mean living miserably. Nor does it mean rejecting all enjoyment. Balance matters. Life should be appreciated. Experiences should be cherished. But discipline requires understanding the difference between wants and priorities. The person who saves and invests before spending often creates opportunities that the impulsive person never experiences. The student who studies while others procrastinate gains advantages that last a lifetime. The entrepreneur who reinvests profits instead of seeking immediate luxury builds stronger foundations. Delayed gratification is difficult because humans are naturally wired for immediate rewards. Our ancestors survived by prioritizing present needs. But modern prosperity often demands long-term thinking. The ability to resist temporary temptations becomes a superpower. The wealthy ask themselves, will this decision benefit me next year? Will this purchase improve my future? Am I choosing comfort over growth? These questions create intentional living. And intentional living produces extraordinary outcomes. The pain of discipline lasts for a moment. The rewards can last for decades. The pain of regret, however, often lasts much longer. The rich understand that every sacrifice made for a meaningful future is an investment, not a loss. And that mindset transforms the entire journey toward success. If these principles are changing the way you think about money and life, subscribe to the Affluence Arena. We believe that true affluence begins in the mind long before it appears in your bank account. And if you've made it this far into the video, comment below. I choose long-term wealth over short-term comfort. Let's build a community of people committed to growth, discipline, and lasting prosperity. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 15. The rich build relationships. The poor build transactions. Human beings are social creatures. No great achievement happens entirely alone. Behind every successful entrepreneur are mentors, partners, employees, customers, and supporters. Behind every investor are networks of information and relationships. Behind every leader are communities built on trust. The wealthy understand that relationships are among the most valuable assets in existence. Many people approach networking with the wrong mindset. They ask, what can I get from this person? What opportunities can they give me? What benefits do they provide? But wealthy individuals often ask a different question. How can I create value for others? How can I contribute? How can I build trust? Because genuine relationships are built upon mutual benefit, not selfish extraction. Trust compounds just like money. A strong reputation opens doors that money alone cannot buy. People prefer doing business with individuals they respect. People support those who consistently provide value. People recommend those who demonstrate integrity. Character becomes capital. One conversation can change your life. One mentor can save you years of mistakes. One partnership can create extraordinary opportunities. That is why wealthy people invest time into relationships. They nurture connections. They maintain integrity. They understand that networks are ecosystems, not vending machines. The principle is simple. Give more than you take. Listen more than you speak. Help others without immediately expecting rewards. Build genuine trust. And over time, those relationships become invaluable. This applies beyond business. Strong families create emotional wealth. Strong friendships create resilience. Strong communities create opportunities. Money matters. But relationships often determine how effectively money is used and multiplied. The rich know that people are not merely resources. They are partners in growth. Every meaningful success story includes other human beings. No empire was built entirely alone. The ability to connect, communicate, and collaborate is one of the greatest wealth-building skills a person can develop. Invest in people. Invest in trust. Invest in your reputation. Because while money can disappear, a strong network often creates new opportunities again and again. The rich build relationships. The poor focus only on transactions. And that difference creates entirely different lives. We have now completed 15 powerful mental shifts that separate wealth builders from everyone else. So far, we have learned that the rich buy time. Think in decades. Invest in knowledge. View failure as education. Master emotions. Create more than they consume. Chase value. Choose their environments carefully. Build identity before wealth. Embrace responsibility. Seek opportunities during crises. Depend on discipline. Pursue ownership. Master delayed gratification. And invest deeply in relationships. But the journey is far from over. Next, we will explore 3 more transformative ideas. Mental shift number 16. Why wealthy people learn to become comfortable with uncertainty. Mental shift number 17. Why they focus on abundance instead of scarcity. And mental shift number 18. Why they continuously reinvent themselves in a rapidly changing world. This is the Affluence Arena, where timeless wisdom meets modern ambition. And where ordinary people learn the principles that create extraordinary futures. Mental shift number 16. The rich become comfortable with uncertainty. Human beings crave certainty. We want guarantees. We want predictable outcomes. We want assurance that our efforts will succeed. But life does not operate that way. Business is uncertain. Investing is uncertain. Innovation is uncertain. Even careers that once seemed stable can disappear within a generation. The wealthy understand a profound truth. Uncertainty is not the enemy. It is the price of opportunity. If every outcome were guaranteed, extraordinary rewards would not exist. The very reason opportunities are valuable is because most people are unwilling to embrace the uncertainty attached to them. Think about entrepreneurship. Starting a business requires courage. There are no guarantees. No promises. No certainty. Yet millions of jobs have been created by individuals who were willing to move forward despite uncertainty. The same principle applies to investing. Markets rise. Markets fall. Economic conditions change. No one possesses perfect knowledge. Yet disciplined investors understand that uncertainty is simply part of the process. The poor often seek absolute security. The rich seek calculated risk. They understand the difference. Recklessness is dangerous. Blind optimism is foolish. But intelligent risk-taking creates possibilities that excessive caution never will. Growth always exists outside the boundaries of comfort. Every meaningful achievement involves stepping into the unknown. Learning a new skill. Changing careers. Starting a company. Moving to a different environment. Building something that has never existed before. These actions require faith. Not blind faith. But informed confidence. The confidence that even if things do not work perfectly, valuable lessons will still emerge. The wealthy understand that certainty is often an illusion. No company is guaranteed to survive forever. No industry remains unchanged. No economy moves upward endlessly. Adaptability matters far more than certainty. The person who can learn quickly, adjust intelligently, and remain emotionally resilient possesses a tremendous advantage. They do not fear uncertainty. They prepare for it. They build skills. They create multiple streams of opportunity. They maintain flexibility. Because flexibility creates survival. And survival creates future prosperity. The rich do not ask, "How can I eliminate uncertainty?" They ask, "How can I become stronger in uncertain environments?" That question changes everything. Because the future belongs to those who can thrive amid change. Mental shift number 17. The rich think from abundance. The poor think from scarcity. Scarcity thinking says, There is not enough. Someone else's success reduces my opportunities. If they win, I must lose. Abundance thinking says, the world contains limitless possibilities. Value can be created. Opportunities can multiply. Growth benefits everyone. This difference in mindset profoundly affects behavior. People operating from scarcity often become fearful. They hoard information. They envy success. They resist collaboration. They see life as a competition for limited resources. But wealthy individuals frequently understand that value creation expands opportunities. A successful entrepreneur creates jobs. An innovative company creates new industries. A great teacher creates more knowledgeable students. A strong community creates collective prosperity. Wealth is not always a fixed pie. Human creativity continuously generates new possibilities. Think about the digital economy. Entire industries exist today that did not exist 20 years ago. Content creators, app developers, online educators, digital marketers, remote consultants. New opportunities emerged because people created value in previously unimaginable ways. Abundance thinking does not ignore reality. Resources are limited in certain contexts. Competition exists. Challenges are real. But abundance thinkers focus on possibilities rather than limitations. They ask, what can I build? What problems can I solve? What partnerships can I create? How can everyone involved benefit? This mindset encourages collaboration instead of isolation. It encourages generosity instead of jealousy. And paradoxically, generous people often create stronger networks and greater opportunities. The wealthy understand another important principle. Knowledge expands when shared. Helping others succeed does not automatically diminish your own success. In many cases, it strengthens it. Communities thrive when individuals contribute value. Businesses grow when customers prosper. Families flourish when members support one another. Abundance creates momentum. Scarcity creates fear. And fear rarely produces exceptional results. The rich believe that opportunities exist beyond what they can currently see. That belief motivates action. It encourages innovation. It inspires persistence. The world has changed dramatically across generations because individuals refuse to accept limitations as permanent realities. They imagined something better. And then they built it. Abundance thinking is not merely optimism. It is strategic possibility. And possibility is the birthplace of prosperity. If these lessons are challenging the way you think about money, success, and opportunity, subscribe to the Affluence Arena. Our mission is to help you develop timeless principles that create lasting affluence in every area of life. And remember, your mindset shapes your actions. Your actions shape your habits. And your habits shape your destiny. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 18. The rich continuously reinvent themselves. One of the greatest dangers in life is becoming attached to outdated versions of yourself. The skills that created success yesterday may not guarantee success tomorrow. The world changes. Technology evolves. Markets transform. Consumer behaviors shift. And those who refuse to adapt often struggle. The wealthy understand that reinvention is not weakness. It is wisdom. They remain lifelong students. They continually learn new skills. They adjust strategies. They embrace innovation. Because growth requires evolution. Consider the businesses that once dominated entire industries but failed to adapt. Many disappeared. Not because they lacked resources. Not because they lacked intelligence. But because they believed yesterday's success guaranteed tomorrow's relevance. Complacency became their greatest enemy. The same risk exists for individuals. People sometimes define themselves too narrowly. I am only this. I can only do that. I am too old to change. I am too inexperienced to begin again. These beliefs create invisible prisons. The wealthy reject rigid identities. They understand that human potential is remarkably flexible. A person can learn new technologies, develop new businesses, acquire new skills, Transform their careers. Reinvent themselves multiple times throughout life. The willingness to evolve becomes a competitive advantage. Think about the modern economy. Artificial intelligence changes industries. Remote work creates new opportunities. Digital platforms enable global businesses. The pace of change continues accelerating. Those who remain curious thrive. Those who resist learning often fall behind. The wealthy ask themselves, what skills will matter in the future? What trends are emerging? How can I remain valuable in a changing world? These questions create adaptability. And adaptability creates resilience. Reinvention also applies internally. Personal growth requires letting go of limiting beliefs. Perhaps your old habits no longer serve you. Perhaps your environment needs to change. Perhaps your identity must evolve to support your goals. Transformation requires courage. It requires humility. It requires admitting that growth demands new versions of ourselves. The butterfly cannot become what it was always comfortable being. It must embrace transformation. The same principle applies to human beings. The rich continuously reinvent themselves because they understand a simple truth. The future rewards those who remain teachable. And teachable minds create extraordinary possibilities. We have now completed 18 of the 25 mental shifts that shape wealth and success. So far, we have learned that the rich buy time. Think in decades. Invest in knowledge. View failure as tuition. Master emotions. Create more than they consume. Pursue value. Choose empowering environments. Build strong identities. Embrace responsibility. Seek opportunities during crises. Rely on discipline. Prioritize ownership. Master delayed gratification. Invest in relationships. Become comfortable with uncertainty. Think from abundance. And continuously reinvent themselves. But the final 7 shifts may be the most profound of all. Next, we will explore mental shift number 19. Why wealthy people focus on legacy rather than lifestyle. Mental shift number 20. Why they understand that gratitude multiplies abundance. And mental shift number 21. Why they measure wealth far beyond money. This is the Affluence Arena, where timeless wisdom becomes practical transformation. And where the journey toward extraordinary prosperity continues. Mental shift number 19. The rich build legacies. The poor chase lifestyles. There is a profound difference between building a lifestyle and building a legacy. A lifestyle is about consumption. A legacy is about contribution. A lifestyle asks, what can I enjoy right now? A legacy asks, what can I leave behind? Modern culture often glorifies appearances. Luxury cars. Designer clothing. Expensive vacations. Social media validation. The message is simple. If you look rich, you must be successful. But true wealth goes deeper than appearances. The wealthy understand that possessions are temporary. Cars depreciate. Trends change. Fashion evolves. But the impact you leave on people can outlive you by generations. Legacy thinking changes everything. It changes how you spend money. It changes how you raise children. It changes how you build businesses. It changes how you use your time. Because you stop thinking only about today. And begin thinking about tomorrow. The greatest builders in history were legacy thinkers. They planted trees whose shade they would never personally enjoy. They created institutions that would serve future generations. They built businesses designed to outlive them. The rich understand that real success is measured not by what you consume, but by what you contribute. Ask yourself, if I disappeared tomorrow, what would remain? Would there be knowledge I shared? People I helped? Values I passed on? Systems I created? Lives I improved? Because ultimately, legacy is not about fame. It is about significance. Some people inherit money but no wisdom. Others inherit wisdom that creates wealth for generations. The second inheritance is infinitely more valuable. The wealthy teach principles. They teach discipline. They teach responsibility. They teach value creation. Because they understand that fortunes without character rarely survive. Many families lose generational wealth within a few decades. Not because the money disappeared, but because the mindset that created it was never transferred. Legacy is more than assets. It is values. It is identity. It is culture. It is wisdom. And perhaps the greatest question anyone can ask is this: what am I building that will matter after I am gone? The rich build legacies. The poor often chase lifestyles. And that difference shapes not only individual lives, but entire generations. Mental shift number 20. The rich practice gratitude while pursuing more. Ambition is powerful. It pushes people forward. It creates innovation. It inspires growth. But ambition without gratitude creates endless dissatisfaction. Many people believe happiness exists somewhere in the future. When I earn more money. When I buy a bigger house. When I achieve a certain goal. Then I will finally be content. But the wealthy understand an important truth. Gratitude and ambition can exist together. You can appreciate what you have while striving for something greater. These ideas are not opposites. They are partners. Gratitude changes perspective. It shifts focus from scarcity to abundance. Instead of constantly thinking about what is missing, grateful people recognize what is already present. Health. Family. Knowledge. Opportunities. Time. Freedom. The simple gift of being alive. This mindset creates emotional wealth. And emotional wealth often supports financial wealth. Because grateful people make better decisions. They avoid desperate actions. They appreciate long-term progress. They celebrate small victories. And they remain resilient during difficult seasons. The wealthy understand that comparison is dangerous. There will always be someone richer. Someone more successful. Someone further ahead. If happiness depends entirely on comparison, peace becomes impossible. Gratitude breaks that cycle. It reminds us that enough exists in the present moment. That growth is a privilege. That opportunities are blessings rather than guarantees. This perspective creates humility. And humility keeps people teachable. Arrogance closes minds. Gratitude opens them. One of the simplest habits practiced by many successful individuals is daily reflection. Taking a few moments to appreciate progress. To acknowledge blessings. To recognize lessons learned. These practices cultivate inner stability. Because external circumstances constantly change. Markets fluctuate. Businesses experience challenges. Life remains unpredictable. But gratitude provides an anchor. It reminds us that prosperity is about more than accumulation. It is about appreciation. The rich pursue excellence. But they also appreciate the journey. They understand that life is happening right now. Not merely after the next achievement. And perhaps that understanding is one of the greatest forms of wealth. If these principles are helping you see success differently, subscribe to the Affluence Arena. This community exists to help ordinary people develop extraordinary mindsets. And if you're still listening, type this in the comments. I am building a legacy, not just a lifestyle. Because true affluence is about impact, wisdom, and freedom that extends far beyond material possessions. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 21. The rich define wealth beyond money. Money matters. Let's be honest about that. Money provides opportunities. It creates options. It reduces certain forms of stress. It allows people to support loved ones and pursue meaningful goals. But money alone is not wealth. A person can possess millions and still live in misery. They can have financial abundance and emotional bankruptcy. They can own luxury yet lack peace. The wealthy understand that true affluence is multidimensional. Financial wealth is only one category. There is also health wealth, relationship wealth, time wealth, knowledge wealth, spiritual wealth, emotional wealth. A person with great health possesses tremendous wealth. A person surrounded by loving relationships is rich in ways money cannot measure. A person with freedom over their time enjoys a privilege many millionaires desperately seek. The tragedy of modern society is that some people sacrifice everything in pursuit of money. They destroy their health, neglect their families, abandon their values, and eventually realize they traded priceless treasures for temporary gains. The truly wealthy seek balance. They understand that money should serve life. Life should not serve money. The goal is not merely to become rich. The goal is to become whole. To build prosperity that includes every important dimension of existence. This perspective changes priorities. It encourages intentional living. It reminds people that success is deeply personal. For some, wealth means entrepreneurship. For others, it means family time. For others, it means creative freedom. The definition matters less than the alignment. Are your actions creating the life you genuinely desire? Or are they simply chasing someone else's version of success? The rich ask deeper questions. What kind of person do I want to become? What kind of relationships do I want to build? How do I want to spend my time? What impact do I want to make? Because money amplifies life. But it does not replace meaning. At the Affluence Arena, we believe true affluence includes financial freedom, yes. But it also includes wisdom, character, peace, purpose, and the ability to live according to your deepest values. The rich define wealth beyond money. And that understanding transforms everything. We have now completed 21 of the 25 mental shifts that separate extraordinary wealth builders from the rest of the world. The final 4 shifts are perhaps the most powerful of all. Next, we will explore mental shift number 22, why wealthy people become masters of focus in a distracted world. Mental shift number 23, why they learn to think independently. Mental shift number 24, why consistency defeats intensity. And finally, mental shift number 25. The ultimate mental shift that ties everything together, the understanding that wealth is first created within before it ever appears without. This is the Affluence Arena, where timeless principles create extraordinary futures. And where your journey toward true affluence continues. Mental shift number 22. The rich protect their focus. The poor surrender their attention. We live in the age of distraction. Never before in human history has so much information competed for our attention. Every notification wants something. Every application demands engagement. Every platform fights for minutes and hours that can never be recovered. Attention has become one of the most valuable resources on earth. And the wealthy understand this better than most people. They know that where attention goes, energy follows. And where energy flows, results appear. The average person wakes up and immediately gives their mind to the world. Messages. Social media. Breaking news. Entertainment. Arguments. Opinions. Noise. Before they have even begun creating their own day, someone else has already taken control of their focus. The wealthy reverse this process. They guard their mornings. They prioritize deep work. They eliminate unnecessary distractions. They understand that extraordinary outcomes require extraordinary concentration. A single hour of focused work often produces more value than an entire day of fragmented attention. That is why many successful people create routines. They schedule important work. They protect their time. They say no to activities that do not align with their priorities. Because every yes is also a no. When you say yes to distraction, you say no to your goals. When you say yes to endless entertainment, you say no to skill development. When you say yes to procrastination, you say no to your future. The wealthy recognize that attention is a form of currency. You spend it every day. The question is, what are you buying with it? Are you investing your attention into learning, building, creating, growing? Or are you spending it on things that provide temporary pleasure but no lasting value? This does not mean eliminating all forms of entertainment. Rest matters. Joy matters. Balance matters. But intentional living requires conscious choices. The world will always compete for your focus. The responsibility of protecting it belongs to you. The rich understand that greatness demands concentration. And concentration creates extraordinary lives. Mental shift number 23. The rich think independently. The poor follow the crowd. Human beings naturally seek belonging. We want acceptance. We want community. We want validation. These desires are normal. But they also create a dangerous tendency. The tendency to follow the crowd. History repeatedly demonstrates that the majority is not always correct. Popular opinions change. Trends disappear. Conventional wisdom evolves. And many breakthroughs happen because someone dared to think differently. The wealthy understand the importance of independent thinking. They listen to advice. They study experts. They seek knowledge. But ultimately, they take responsibility for their own decisions. They do not blindly follow public opinion. Because crowds are emotional. Crowds panic. Crowds become greedy. Crowds chase trends. And following the crowd often produces average outcomes. Extraordinary results frequently require unconventional thinking. This applies to investing. When everyone becomes euphoric, independent thinkers become cautious. When everyone becomes fearful, independent thinkers search for opportunities. This applies to entrepreneurship. Many successful businesses began as ideas that others considered impossible. Innovation requires the courage to challenge assumptions. Independent thinking also requires intellectual humility. It means being willing to change your mind when new evidence appears. It means questioning your own beliefs. It means recognizing that certainty can become arrogance. The wealthy understand that truth matters more than ego. They do not ask, "What does everyone believe?" They ask, "What is actually true?" That question changes everything. Because truth remains valuable even when it is unpopular. The ability to think independently protects people from manipulation. It encourages critical thinking. It creates resilience. And it allows individuals to make decisions aligned with their values rather than social pressure. The rich respect wisdom. But they refuse to surrender responsibility for their own minds. And that independence becomes a tremendous advantage in an increasingly noisy world. If you've made it this far, you are not an ordinary viewer. You are someone committed to growth. Someone committed to transformation. Someone committed to building a better future. Subscribe to the Affluence Arena and join thousands of people who believe that true prosperity begins with timeless principles. And if one lesson has already changed your perspective, share it in the comments below. Your insight may inspire another person to begin their own journey toward affluence. Now, let's continue. Mental shift number 24. The rich value consistency over intensity. Many people are obsessed with dramatic action. They want massive breakthroughs. Extreme effort. Instant transformation. And while intensity feels exciting, it rarely lasts. Consistency wins. The wealthy understand that extraordinary results are built through ordinary actions repeated over long periods. Small investments become fortunes. Daily reading becomes wisdom. Regular exercise becomes health. Steady business growth becomes empires. The power lies in repetition. Not perfection. Not occasional bursts of motivation. But sustained effort. Think about water. A single drop seems insignificant. Yet over time, continuous drops can carve through stone. Consistency possesses extraordinary power. The same principle applies to life. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a single year, and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. Because compounding rewards persistence. The wealthy trust the process. They understand that progress often appears slow at first. But small improvements accumulate. 1% better every day eventually creates remarkable change. This mindset removes unnecessary pressure. You do not need to become extraordinary overnight. You simply need to keep moving forward. Keep learning. Keep building. Keep investing. Keep improving. The world celebrates dramatic success stories. But behind every overnight success are usually years of invisible work. Years of discipline. Years of failure. Years of consistency. The rich know that greatness is not built in moments of intensity. It is built in habits. And habits create destiny. Mental shift number 25. The greatest wealth is built inside before it appears outside. This final shift connects every lesson we have explored. Everything begins within. Your beliefs influence your actions. Your actions create your habits. Your habits shape your character. And your character determines your destiny. The wealthy understand that external success is often a reflection of internal development. You cannot consistently outperform your mindset. You cannot sustainably hold what your character cannot manage. And you cannot create a different life while remaining the same person. Transformation begins on the inside. The journey toward prosperity starts with identity. With discipline. With responsibility. With wisdom. With emotional mastery. With purpose. Money itself is neither good nor evil. It is a tool. A powerful amplifier. It reveals character. It expands influence. It magnifies existing values. That is why inner development matters so deeply. Because the person you become ultimately determines how wealth impacts your life. The world teaches people to focus on appearances. The wealthy focus on foundations. They understand that strong roots create strong trees. And invisible preparation creates visible results. Every principle we have discussed points toward this truth. Success is an inside-out process. Build the mind. Build the habits. Build the values. Build the discipline. And over time, external results naturally follow. The greatest investment you will ever make is in yourself. Because businesses can fail. Markets can change. Technology can evolve. But a well-developed mind remains one of the most valuable assets on earth. The rich understand that affluence is not merely about accumulating possessions. It is about becoming a person capable of creating, sustaining, and multiplying value. And that journey begins within. Today on the Affluence Arena, we have explored 25 mental shifts that separate wealth builders from everyone else. Not because wealthy people are inherently better. Not because success is guaranteed. But because principles matter. Mindsets matter. Daily choices matter. Remember these truths. Buy time. Think in decades. Invest in knowledge. Learn from failure. Master your emotions. Create more than you consume. Pursue value. Choose your environment wisely. Build your identity. Accept responsibility. Find opportunities during adversity. Depend on discipline. Pursue ownership. Delay gratification. Invest in relationships. Embrace uncertainty. Think abundantly. Reinvent yourself. Build a legacy. Practice gratitude. Define wealth beyond money. Protect your focus. Think independently. Value consistency. And above all, remember that true wealth is first created within. Because affluence is not merely about money. It is about freedom. Purpose. Character. Wisdom. Contribution. And the ability to live according to your highest values. If this message has impacted you, subscribe to the Affluence Arena. Share this video with someone who needs encouragement on their journey. And remember, your future is not built in a single moment. It is built through the decisions you make every day. One thought. One habit. One principle at a time. This is the Affluence Arena. Where ordinary people develop extraordinary minds. And where true prosperity begins. Until next time. Keep building. Keep learning. And keep moving toward the life you were created to live.